Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining us on the Coaching for Tomorrow podcast. I have with me today an amazing woman, Calli Jo, Callie, Cal, whatever you want to call her. Just don't call her late for dinner. She is here to give us her wonderful devotion and time and share with us some knowledge that I think is much needed in life in general, parenting, but with couples. There's a lot of things that we maybe struggle with in our day to day and in our couples, relationships, romantic wise, relationships with parenting, child. And I think that the more information we have, the more knowledge we have, the better off we are. So without further ado, let's talk to Callie. Hi, Callie.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm really, really excited to be here.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to have you. So now what we all want to know is what do you do? What do you do with your time? What do you do with your passion?
So, I'm a pediatric occupational therapist, and occupational therapy can be very broad. I think that's why a lot of people don't quite understand what we do or exactly what we do. But with kids, I work with kids on a variety of things. It can be anywhere from fine motor skills, development, gross motor coordination. It can be sensory processing, it can be emotional regulation. But for me and my business called Confident Kids Therapy, my biggest goal for each child I work with is to build confidence and to be as independent as possible in everything that we do.
Oh, that's so
So, yeah,
awesome. Kind
on a day to day, it can be different every single day. I go to kids' homes and do therapy there most of the time. So I love the fact that I can be in their natural environment, working on skills that are they're going to do on a daily basis versus in a clinic, which is set up as best as we can for them, but in their natural environments where we're going to be doing the skills every single day. So I love that part of my job as well.
yeah, and it kind of ensures more success when you're in their environment, teaching them the things that they're going to be doing every day anyways. Right. And
Yeah.
they feel more practical when they're in their environment versus going to a clinic and then they go home and they're like, well, I did that there.
Hmm.
So I do that here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
And that's
awesome.
with like kids, parents who bring their kids to the clinic. It's like, all right, this is how they act at home, or this is how it is at home. And we don't always see that behavior or that skill in the clinic. We see something very different. So being in the home, like, all right, now I get it. Now I see what you're telling me. And I can also help guide the parent, coach the parent, implement strategies during their daily routines. And it can be much more effective that way.
Yeah, that's so funny because it always happens to me like the theory of like going to the doctor, right? The kid's got this awful cough and you take him to the pediatrician and they don't cough at all. And you're like, I swear to you, I swear. The moment we got like stepped in the building, they just stopped coughing, but they've been coughing for 3 days straight and it sounds like a
Yep.
bark. And so I started to record, even with my dogs. I take my dogs to the trainer and it's the same thing. They're fine because they're
Yeah.
not defending that training section. They're defending their house. They're humans. And
Oh
this is a
yeah.
human that they're not, And so I take video and I send it to the trainer. I'm like, see, this is what I'm talking about. So I
Yeah.
love that you go into the home because I think that optimizes what you do and that
Yeah.
maxes the benefits that the parents receive, that the child receives. So tell me a little bit about the journey of what led you to OT.
I found OT when I was in college. I was volunteering at a summer camp for kids with muscular dystrophy. And it was so fascinating and so much fun because these kids had 1 week in their entire year where they could do absolutely anything. There was no limitations. Everything's accessible to them. The pool, the kayaks, climbing, they could do it all in this 1 week. And so I was like, how amazing is it to have a profession where our main goal is to help people be independent, whether that's through building skills, adapting their environment, giving them different tools, and they can live their life to the fullest as best as they can with the skill set that they have currently or their physical limitations. Like we can take away those limitations. We can help adapt their environment so they can have this high quality of life and be happy, confident, and independent. So Yeah, I absolutely fell in love with that camp specifically, but then finding OT. There was OTs there training us on how to do specific things with them. And then, yeah, the passion just kind of kept on growing and growing. I was a therapist at an autism clinic, and then I went and got my doctorate degree in OT, and then continued to just work with kids from there. I started my own practice 2 years ago, and it was when we moved from Virginia to Ohio. I didn't want to be in a busy clinic where I was seeing 10 kids a day in a 10-hour day, and it was just a lot. I didn't feel like I was giving the time that parents and those children deserve, that it wasn't mentally there during sessions because I was thinking about the next one or when I'm going to go to the bathroom next. Like, it was just a lot. And so I was like, I can serve people in a better way, and I'm going to do this on my own. And I also found a great need in my community where there wasn't many home therapists. There wasn't a whole lot of options for OT for kids. The wait list at these big clinics near me are 6 months plus long. And it's just like, if you need OT, you need it now. If you're being evaluated for OT and you qualify, you should get those services as quickly as possible. So yeah, I see kids for about an hour a week and up to 10 weeks, and then we kind of reevaluate and see where things are. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Well, congratulations on opening your own practice. I think that's amazing because, again, I think about that when I go into the doctor's office. I try to go in with like a clear cut symptoms because I get it. The overhead, the demand, like I understand that it's a lot. And there are certain times, certain cases or specific needs that I wish I could get more of their time. Not all the time. Some things are just so cut and dry. But I have a daughter who is in speech therapy. She's needed speech therapy since she was 3. And I love, there are just certain people who you can just feel their passion. They don't look at my daughter as a case. They look at her as Claire, and they look at her as um, this beautiful piece that has trouble communicating from one side of the brain to the other. And so how can I, and they love that, putting the puzzle pieces together to help her get to that, like you said, that confidence, that space of like, this is me and I'm free to be me and I'm going to thrive being me. And I just love that because it's not everybody. Not everybody has that passion that you have to recognize that I'm not fulfilling what I need to be doing by doing this 10-hour day.
Yeah.
So what do I need to do? I need to go over here. And if I
Mhm.
go over here and start my own private practice, then I can fulfill my passion. And that also optimizes the benefits that your clients receive. Could you tell us a little bit more about what exactly OT does with the kids? Like, what skills are you helping them acquire?
Right now, a lot of my caseload is kindergarten readiness, getting them ready to be in a classroom with other kids, away from their parents, regulating their emotions, understanding their body and what it means to have this sensory stimulation and change their body, and then how to react to that. It is a lot of handwriting, fine motor strength. I love involving movement and play-based strategies into my sessions, as I feel like kids learn best when they're playing, when they're interested, when they're motivated, when they're moving. So a lot of my sessions will look like, all right, let's do a fun obstacle course. Let's involve your favorite animals. Let's involve your favorite puzzle. Let's play on the floor and just connect. And then it's building some skill there in the middle of the session. And then it's maybe doing some like cool down exercises or doing something at the table to build those fine motor skills or to build that attention. And a lot of the times too, it's kids that have a really hard time with emotions. They are maybe going to school all day and then they're coming home and having this big meltdown.
Mm.
And so it's really trying to navigate the family dynamic after school, giving them some tools, some strategies to maybe do after school to help regulate their nervous system. And so, yeah, it can be different. Every single child I work with will look different every day. So I think those main things that I work with, fine motor, emotional regulation, It all comes together. It all ties together because we're not regulated. We're not going to learn new skills.
Yeah.
So
Right.
in that foundation for both of those things, I think are really essential and the big
Yeah.
like pillars of what I do.
Yeah. And as they're learning new skills and they're getting frustrated and they're being challenged,
Yeah.
and that emotional regulation isn't quite there because I don't know if it is anyways, right? Like with any 5-year-old, 4-year-old,
Oh, I
like
mean, even
they're emotional, right?
I feel like we're never going to master emotional
Right.
regulation as adults. We're never going to master this,
Right.
but
Not
we
even
can
at 99.
understand our body. Like I can understand when I need to go for a walk. I
Yeah.
can sense that, and I can
Yes.
understand when I need to take a deep breath. And so with kids, who's teaching them these skills? Who's teaching them how to regulate their body?
Right.
There's not a whole lot of time for that in school. And then
Right.
parents also, I mean, I have a hard time regulating my emotions. I've had to go through my own journey of figuring it out. And so I'm educated in myself now, but I'm also trying to teach my child in a busy, busy world. So
Yeah.
I think just slowing down and taking the time to teach these skills, essential skills to kids early on, and then just building from there. Because like I said, we're never going to master it, but we can get better. We can do a better job of building a foundation at 4 or 5 of understanding these are different emotions and your body's going to feel different, but we
Yeah.
can change it
Yeah.
and we can make it better. So
Yeah. I have in my one of my pantry walls is my school wall. And it's all the calendars, it's all the spirit days, it's all the things. But I have this one printout and it says, which chair are you in? And it has all these pictures of the chairs and they all have different colors and different faces. And it's like sad, frustrated, angry, lonely, whatever. And each one has a face. And so even with my daughter who's in kindergarten, she's just learning to read, but even when she couldn't read, she could see the faces. And so I'd say, which chair are you in? And they could kind of point to it, and my son can read, so he'll go and pick and stuff. So then if I'm like, go find your chair, which chair are you in, so that they can at least express that and know the feeling with the word of the emotion. So I agree with you. I think the more we know, the better we'll be. And when we're talking about these kids, what you do is amazing. I want to take it up to another level with the parents who are single and co-parenting, the parents who are or divorced and co-parenting, the parents who are married and trying to just sit with all the things that go along with these things, right? So, like with me and my own personal story, to find out that my daughter needed help. She had an issue, right? The issue, this disorder, and it needed intervention and it needed outside sources. I couldn't help her. It was beyond me to do that. And so then having the meetings, going through insurance, getting the evaluations, that's a lot of stress on me and my relationship. So when when you are meeting with the parents and you're meeting with the kids, you're not just helping the child, you're also helping the relationship, you're helping the parents, you're helping their marriage, you're helping parent to child relationship. You're doing a lot more than just helping the child learn to use scissors. There's a lot more involved.
I'm glad you realized that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you at some points, I'm sure you're even like kind of holding the parents' hands along because sometimes we have this want or desire when we're pregnant and imagining having babies. Like it's just going to be easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then these things come into play and we're like, holy hell,
Yeah.
that was a sucker punch. I didn't expect that. And which what it kind of was for Claire and I and my husband on like certain levels of the journey. And I remember when her teacher sat down with me and tried to share with me her concern, it was so choppy. It was so she was very nervous to tell me that she found an issue. And I was like, I feel like you're trying to tell me something. I'm open to receiving it. I'm the kind of parent that wants to know as soon as possible so that we can help the child. So whatever it is, just share it with me. And she was like, like just such a sigh of relief. And she just told me, I think she has auditory processing issues. So, so there's a lot that goes along with that. And you're not only are you dealing, each child is different, but each parent is different, each couple is different, each story, culture, age, all that, the length of marriage. And so do you see that? Do you see when you walk into each individual case, each individual client, that it affects mom and dad, it affects the relationship, they're stressed out, they're worried, they're involved, they're not super involved, they're do you see that?
Absolutely. And I can definitely sympathize with them. It's like we have these expectations of what our child's going to be like. Like you said, when we're pregnant, we were dreaming of what our child's going to be like and doing things with them and what they're going to be like when they grow up, or who they're going to be when they grow up. What are they going to do for a job? And so all those thoughts are going through our head. And then we have our child and we're confronted maybe with the teacher or the pediatrician that, like, hey, I see this. This is going on. I think there's something else we need to do. Maybe it's getting a diagnosis. Maybe it's something. For me, in my experience, a lot of kids are getting diagnosed with autism and coming to me, and I'm like their first or second person that they're coming to for help. And so it's all fresh. It's all brand new. And from my experience, there's not a whole lot of guidance. They come to me and they don't even know what OT is. And they're like, can you help? I'm like, I can, yes. But for me, it's like, no matter what diagnosis it is, if it's autism, if it's ADHD, no matter what it is, I am looking at the child and their family dynamic and their culture, and we're treating the entire person. We're treating their physical health, their mental health, their spiritual health, the family dynamic. We're looking at it from a very holistic approach. And for me, it's also based on our strengths and our sensory needs. So if I get a child with autism, I'm like, okay, what are your goals? Tell me what you want your child to be able to do. And then let me see where their skill set is at. Let me assess their sensory system. Let me assess their physical skills. And then let's create a plan to get you to where you want to go, to get you to where your kid needs to go. Giving you strategies, giving you tools. And I firmly believe that every parent is parenting to the best of their ability. Like, we're all trying to do our very best. And if we know better, we do better. And I'm just here to educate and help you navigate that process as best as I can. And I still feel like, yes, I'm treating the child, but I'm also educating the family and providing guidance and support in that way as well, as best as I can. And if it's outside of my scope, I refer you to someone that can help you too. Whether that's mental health, a lot of the times it's seeing psych and OT at the same time for your kid, but also for you too. It's a lot. It's a lot to process, and sometimes you go through a grieving process too.
Yeah.
And I'm there too to help
Mm.
support you in a way that I feel is most beneficial for you and your family. Like, every single child will be unique. Every single plan, every goal is unique to that child.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So wow. So you're basically the first, like, yeah, that first or second person that you get like the pieces. You get like the crumbled up pieces of like the dream that is no longer really possible or there. And so you have to kind of help them come up with a new dream.
Yeah. But also realize their kids' potential. Like, you
Yeah.
get a diagnosis and you think, oh, they can't do this. And I'm here to show you that, like, these are all the things they can do. Look at all of these strengths. Look at all these good things. And we're going to use those strengths to build upon the parts or the pieces that need that support
Right.
and need some skill building. So there's
Yeah.
a lot of
Go ahead. Go ahead.
go ahead. Yeah, I was in.
Um, I remember asking a lot of the different professionals, like with my daughter, is this going to be forever? Is this forever? Is this a forever thing? Is this, and not, I just to know, is this a forever thing, or is this something that gets fixed? Because I don't know. So seeking the education, I loved, and I always recommend this with my clients, is find support for where you're at in the moment. So if you're just becoming a mom, go find groups that are just becoming moms. If you're a working mom, if you're a working dad, if you're a dad with a teenage boy, go find dads with teenage boys because we're gonna need some help in that
Yeah.
area. And so the same thing goes. Like I all of a sudden found a community of moms who had kids in speech therapies. They were different reasons, but still just the process of same age kids going through the same kind of process, the meetings, the district, the all those things. What's so helpful because you don't feel alone, you
Yeah.
know, more so than just the occupational therapist, the speech therapist, the psychologist, the human essence of just today was really tough. We got bad news, or she had a bad session, or she seems to have gone backwards a little bit and we didn't miss any sessions. And so, they're like, oh yeah, I went through that too. And that's so important, I think, for um individual purposes and also for the couple and also for the child,
Yeah.
because if I'm sitting in worry as a mom, if I'm sitting in worry, I'm not going to be present with her. And that doesn't help either. And so, and there's bad days and good days, which is fine. So they come to you and so basically what it is also there's so much beauty as being the parents who come to you and they'll eventually trust you with building confidence. And you're not only building confidence with the child, but you're building confidence in the parents that this life is fine, this life is okay, this life is
Yeah.
beautiful still. And so let me help you reshape the vision that you had to be the one that you have today, and love that vision and live in that vision and be empowered in that vision. And that's something that you and I had talked about previously. Was you said education equals empowering mindset. And I
Yeah.
think that that's huge in anything. And if I believe that my daughter can have a full, beautiful, successful life in her way, then
Hmm.
the stress and the worry doesn't weigh on me so much, but then shows up in my marriage as, man, just the same thing, success and empowerment in my marriage, right?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so now you also get to show the parents, once they get to trust you and you build that, you get to show them how to help their child further.
Hmm.
You're there for an hour, and then this is what you're going to work on this week. This is what you're going to do. And then they get to see their child, get grasping it, learning it in their own way, because you have diagnosed and planned an action step plan for each individual kid.
Hmm.
So then the parents get to see that, and they get to see that their kids are succeeding, they're learning, they're growing. And what's that like? I mean, so what I'm asking is, when you first meet a client and then 10 weeks later you see improvement in the client, what is it like with the parent relationship at the end of that?
Um, it's amazing to watch because my job really is to work myself out of a job.
Yeah.
I am here for a short period of time. I'm here for 10, 16 weeks maybe. And I'm here to teach you these strategies, but I'm also here to give you confidence. Like if I'm working with your child, I'm working on building that rapport so they can trust me, encouraging them to have this courageous mindset to try something new, that courageousness, that ability to try something new, create the confidence. We don't have the confidence. It just doesn't come. We have to do before we can get confident. And so same thing with parents. It's like, okay, I can implement these strategies in my day to day. It creates confidence in you. That creates empowerment of like, you can handle hard things. We can all do hard things. And if we can understand that with our child, but also as parents, we can handle harder situations because you have the tool set, you have the ability, you have the skills to manage it and to be better. And that's like, for me as a therapist, it's very motivating for me to be better every day because they're trusting me to have the knowledge, to have the ability to help. And so for me, it's like, okay, also need to be better every day. I need to keep learning. I need to keep getting better. I have to have that growth mindset as a therapist. And that will also hopefully transition over to what I do for the parents as well, to have a growth mindset and to just keep improving. We're all going to make mistakes. Success is never linear. We all know that. So just understanding that, and then having the grace too, and parenting. I feel like that's my biggest word for me as a parent, is just to have grace for myself.
Yeah.
And then to just know better and do better every day.
Yeah. Do you ever get any pushback from the parents? Because I think s- there's this piece of denial that a lot of parents can typically go through. It's a space of hurt
Mhm.
and disbelief and just not wanting to face the thoughts they have in their mind about a diagnosis. And so maybe they go along with it, maybe they don't. Maybe one is on board, maybe one is not. So
Yeah.
have you ever received that pushback from any parents?
Sometimes, I think a lot of the times, no, because they're coming to me for help and they're already a little bit bought in. But if it's parents that are kind of on different pages, it's more, okay, they're gonna get better in this hour. And I don't need to like transition any of these skills to home. I don't need to do anything at home. I don't need to do the home programs. They're here for an hour and then they do their thing and then they leave. And so sometimes it's a lot of more education with the parents about, okay, I'm here with your child for an hour, yes. But I don't really make a whole lot of difference in that hour. It's the other hours throughout the week. You're with them
Yeah,
24/7, and I get them for an hour a week.
right, right,
So what I do isn't that like effective if it's not being taken care
right.
of, like, week
Yeah,
or carried over. So yeah, when that happens, it's just a lot more education. And then if they're not fully bought in, I do the best I can. Or I say, hey, maybe we take a break and come back, see what happens. Or maybe I refer out to somebody else if I feel like their priorities are more communication, or their priorities are somewhere else and it's not what OT is needed at the moment. So when
yeah,
parents are coming to me with a new diagnosis of autism and they're saying, I just want them to communicate. Okay, you don't need to do all the therapies at once. You can do one. Do your priority first and then go see another one if you have concerns. So if it is communication and that's your concern, you're going to go to speech therapy. And if your main priority or main goal is regulation or fine motor skills or gross motor skills, you can come to me.
yeah.
I'll always be here when you're ready.
Oh, that's so awesome. I love that. And I know you recommend psychology kind of along with the OT and any other services that are kind of requested or desired or recommended or whatever. Do people tip
Sometimes
Go ahead. Do people typically do that? Do they typically take your advice for psychology?
Yes, if there's somewhere that doesn't have a wait list.
Okay.
Like child psychology, it's hard to come by.
Okay.
There's a lot of wait lists, but if there's someone out there that can treat them, yes. I definitely think me and psychology pair really well together. I also definitely believe in just not overscheduling children. Um, don't do
Oh,
ABA, speech, PT, OT. It's like all at one time. It's a lot. It's a lot for the kid and it's a lot for the parent.
yeah. Yeah. And what about psychology for the couple, for the parents? Do they typically do it or do they put themselves last on the list?
Usually put themselves last. I don't always, it's not very common that the are also doing therapy for themselves that I'm aware of, I guess. Like could be something they do without disclosing it, but
Yeah.
um,
Okay. Wow. Okay. So I really love this conversation because I just think that it's scary enough to be a parent. Scary enough. I remember my first pregnancy, I read the book What to Expect When You're Expecting, and it scared the crap out of me because I remember reading about the things that could go wrong at that stage in the pregnancy, and I was like, I can't read this book. That was the scariest part for me, was not being able to actually see the child, to assess them, to kind of know, whatever. And then my daughter was born, she had a rocky start, and her pediatrician is like the best guy in the world. And So he knew I was like this hyper vigilant mom, and I was, concerned about things that like I wasn't concerned about my first two children because they were born, healthy and happy, and she was born a NICU baby. And so I remember one time I've been a massage therapist for 22 years, and I take her in for a well baby, and I'm like, look at her spine. Her spine looks a little off, and this and that. And he's like, listen, if you want to go to ortho, go to ortho. Like I don't see it, but your mom, whatever you want to do. And he supported me in any way, and he didn't push one way or the other. He told me, I don't see anything. I think she's fine, but you need peace of mind, mom. You need peace of mind. So if that's an ortho and you need an ortho to tell you that she's fine, go get that. And so I think that um I guess I wish that parents would just seek that, seek that it's okay. Let's work together. Let's do this thing. Um, and to leave expectation at the door. And like you said, I think stacking up the OT, the PT, the speech, all these things is a lot on the kid, and we have time. We have time. They don't need to be president of the United States by second grade, right? They don't need to be curing cancer and doing these things by fourth grade. They need to be 5, 6, 7, 8. And for Johnny, for Claire, for Chloe, like their own individual persons. And the more that we lose the expectation and be present in the moment and have people like you in our lives and our kids' lives, we're doing a fantastic job.
Yep.
And that can take a lot of stress off of our marriages, our own individual selves, and our parenting relationships. Because when you're high stress and you're worried all the time and you're living in an expectations world, you're going to be snappy, you're going to be melancholy, you're going to be not
Yeah.
living your best life, right?
And I think my motto too is just I'm doing the best that I can with the knowledge and the tools that I have today.
Yeah.
And tomorrow I maybe learn something new, and then I do the best with what I can with what I have. So that's what I try to tell my parents that I work with as well. Like, you're doing an amazing job.
It's awesome.
So,
And it's so sweet. So if you were to say right now to the people listening today, the parents who do have a child that's in OT, PT, speech therapy, psychology, or have yet to look into it. Maybe they're not ready yet. Maybe they're questioning it. If you could give any advice to them, what would it be?
play with your child, get on the floor with them 10 minutes a day with no distractions, and just build connection with them. I think that is not emphasized enough of how important that is. That initial just, I'm on the floor with you, we're making eye contact, and we're engaging in something together with no distractions, no TV, no phone, no music, just you and the kid. And I think just involving them in our everyday tasks helps empower them and gives them a mindset of like, I'm responsible. I'm able to do things like mommy and daddy. I'm able to get my own water, get my own snack, do laundry with the parents, cook, clean, like do things with them that help empower them and make them feel involved. And then they're more independent later on, earlier even. So there's an extra bonus there. But yeah, I just think playing with them, building connection, and then just involving them in tasks that you do helps to build that confidence and that connection as well.
So awesome. I love that. Well, I sincerely thank you for what you do. I'm thankful that, I think that when we find our passions, it shows. And I really think it shows on you, the way you smile about helping the kid and getting on the floor and playing and being able to look at each kid as an individual and help them to meet their max potential. Like you're getting them ready for kindergarten, which is so huge. Like my daughter passed her evaluation this year, and I swear it's because of kindergarten. I mean, it's definite, it's pieces, right? She had a delay, she's catching up in her delay, she still has the processing issue, but it's not getting in her way. She's reading, she's processing, she's doing math problems. Like I really worried about math. Because it's like what? what did, how many did, and that's her area of struggle. But she's getting it, and you can see it on her. She's just like I always think of that song Unstoppable by Sia, right? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
S-I-A? Sia? I always think of that. Yeah, I know. As soon as I said it, I'm like, I can start singing it. But that I think of that song all the time with my kid. And for any parent that's listening right now, take it. Take the song Unstoppable, put it to your kid for like the littlest things. Like she read a couple weeks ago, and I was like, Unstoppable. You like, boom, here comes the song. Um, that's really empowering too, even if I don't she feels that. My daughter feels that when we're like, "Oh, that's great." Like, "Yeah, like you've read the some." Um, so all the little wins, play with your kid, spend that time, be present in the moment, lose the expectations, know that they're okay and that they have the support that they need. There's so much support, there's so much education, there's so much knowledge out there. You're opening the door for one piece of it, and I think that just lets parents know that if there's this, there's gotta be millions of things out there, right? That they can do for themselves individually, as a mom, as a dad, as a couple, and then as a parent and for the kid. Callie, where can we find you? Where can anybody find you?
I'm on Instagram. Confident Kids Therapy is where I hang out the most. My website is confidentkidstherapy.com, keeping things very consistent. And then you can always email me. It's Callie, Calli, at confidentkidstherapy.com.
I love it, confidentkidstherapy.com. She's got her shirt on. It's super
No.
cute. I love it. Confident Kids Occupational Therapy. I'm going to leave all the links below to get a hold of you. And do you have anything coming up? Anything that you want to share with us do you have like freebies?
Yeah.
How do you reach out to people beyond just in home?
Yeah, so I definitely noticed a big need for more education when it comes to occupational therapy, but also preparing our children for kindergarten. I feel like kindergarten is this huge milestone, this huge step for kids. We're leaving our parents, the parents are leaving their child. Like that's a big thing for 8 hours a day. And we're also have these huge expectations for kids in kindergarten that they need to meet these academic standards, but I also feel like they need a foundation first before entering kindergarten. So I decided to create an online course called the Confident Kindergartner.
Mm,
And what it is I provide you with education on the expectations, development, and activities to build skills. So I first go into sensory based approaches, but also play based approaches to build these skills and why that's important. And then we'll go into fine motor skills, expectations, activities to do at home, gross motor skills, same thing, development, activities to do at home, self care, independent building skills. And then also this big piece where I feel like we're missing is that social emotional skills, building those in our kids before kindergarten. And all of these activities are things that you can do really quickly, building them into your daily routine. You don't need to buy these fancy toys or games. It's something that we can all implement every day with the things that we already have. So it's releasing in January, and I'm really excited about it. So I will definitely put a link for the wait list in that too, and then also provide a freebie that I created, the 5 ways to build confidence in your kid every day. So
I love
that's gonna.
that. I love all that because like you said before, you're there for an hour, which is so great to be in person, but also you can't be everywhere all the time. So, and
Yeah.
had to have a course, I could look at that every day. I could go, what did Callie say about what I was supposed to do? Because I'm not an occupational therapist. So I'm gonna forget. What can I
Mhm.
do to help her? What can I do to help him? So let me just check the night before, and then that'll help me plan the next day. What steps am I going to take that Callie recommended and use those tomorrow or the next day or like over the weekend or whatever. So I love that. Um, that's great. So January, everybody, you're going to be able to jump on that course and have that to be ready to prepare the child for kindergarten. I love that. And I just want to thank you so much, Callie, for coming on the podcast and sharing your passion with everybody and the tips playing on the floor and losing the expectation and just being present with the kid and growing in knowledge. I think that's a really important tip that you gave everybody. Just keep looking, keep growing, keep learning, keep playing,
Never
keep
stop.
interacting. I love it. Thank you so much, Callie. I
Thank
appreciate your
you.
time.
I'm so glad I was able to be here, and this conversation was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Awesome.